This podcast anymore. Sorry, it's the Oil Drop Podcast, number 29. Devilish look at Larsson. All right, so today with us we have a special guest, and I'm going to let himself introduce himself. So, Ed, did you want to give it a shot? Just introduce
Yeah,
yourself.
sure. So, hi there, everyone. My name is Ed. My name is Ed, also known as Film Nerdosaurus on the internets. I run a podcast with another guy named Clarkson23, also known as Clarky. We're called Have Another Donut. We are a New Jersey Devils podcast that is not sponsored by Mario. So we like to talk about Devils. Basically, it's an all Devils podcast. The name comes from a very famous incident between one of our former coaches and a ref when he told a ref was a fat pig and told him to have another donut. That's how we got the name. And that's basically us. We're at _podcast or at had podcast on Twitter. I'm already messing up social media, so it's early.
All right, solid. And apologies for all of you within Edmonton or Vancouver area that are watching us live at the moment. If you are, thank you very much. It is very early in the morning. For those of you that aren't, thank you very much for catching the VOD. Anyway, this is me, Arunatic5, otherwise known as Arun. Also with me today is Adam, otherwise known as Shweet44722, and James, otherwise known as Paul-McCartney-. All right, so let's get started with the topics today. Originally, we did have World Cup of Hockey first, but I figure since we have Ed here with us today, why don't we just start off right in with the trade? Any objections?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Okay. All right. So initial reaction from the Oilers fans' perspective was that we were robbed blind for this trade. So on the other side of the fence, what was your guys' initial reaction? Ed?
You guys were robbed blind. It was definitely how it basically was. I'll give it from my perspective was I saw Devils acquired Taylor Hall. I'm like, holy shit. Like, we got Taylor Hall. And then I saw Devils get Taylor Hall for Adam Larsson. I'm like, fuck. Because Adam Larsson, if you look at his Corsi numbers, you're going to think like, yeah, Devils absolutely fleeced the Oilers. This is a one trade. But if you watch Adam Larsson play, this trade sucks because it's like we just got a top-end goal scorer, but we had to give up probably who's our number one to get him. So initially it was fantastic. Then it kind of sucked, but now it's more leveled out, at least from Devils fans' perspectives.
Yeah, that's solid actually. I guess now that we've gotten the initial reaction through, what's the general fan reaction for the trade right now in terms of looking forward to the actual season?
I mean, everyone is excited for Taylor Hall. I mean, we got only to see 2 games of him. It's a game against the Rangers in which they won 5-4. You see what he brings. He drives plays, and it's absolutely his vision, like constantly ready, and he's made that team better. I'm really excited to watch him, and one of our concerns with Devils was losing our defensive corp was going to not be so good. Bloggers will say that our defense is doomed, but really, we had a lot of young guys, a lot of question marks. John Merrill and Severson both had bad years last year, looking for bounce-back years. John Merrill looked very good on the right side, playing really good. Severson's looked not accurate, but he hasn't looked bad, so that's good. And then some young guys have stepped up, mainly for us is Johan Avitu, the 26-year-old Finnish player, or friend of the Finnish league. He looked great last night. He had 4 assists, and he was quarterback in a lot of plays. So, really excited for Hall. Defense doesn't look as bad as it did initially after the trade. How have you guys looked with having Larsson there?
Well, I know we've only had a chance to see him twice as well. It's the one game he played. I unfortunately haven't been able to see him play yet. Both games were doing while I was at work, but I know the one people are saying that he was very, very good. And playing with Clefbaum, we have the sexy Swedish duo going now, so that's good. But Apparently, he was Larsson. So he's a subdued player. He's never going to stand out like a big guy. But in the last game, I guess which some we're going to talk about later, the penalty kill got destroyed, and Larsson was on the ice for 4 of the 5 goals against. That's what happens when you take penalties constantly in a game. But
It's gonna become common though.
it's gonna be more common, I think, for the Oilers to ship more penalties, and it is something that needs to be worked on. So we don't know whether or not it's been Larsson has started off slowly, and the Oilers have started off slowly, or that Larsson has played well, and we haven't really been able to notice it because the team around him is also playing poorly.
I think a big. Sorry.
Last year, Larson was our 1-2 punch on the PK. He played with Andy Green. They basically they were out there for the full 2 minutes, and I think if I remember correctly, Devil's PK was number 8 in the league. So it could be a little bit about the team you guys have. It also could just be rust. He's adjusting. Clefbaum. I know I haven't really seen him because he's your number 1 defenseman, right? Yeah. So he could just be adjusting to his style and everything.
He has a much more offensive style.
When we got
Yes.
lit up for all those power play goals, was Nuge playing that night?
Yeah, it
Because I
was.
think that makes a big
He was.
difference.
He was. It was basically our entire penalty kill, like our normal penalty kill was on for that night, which is concerning.
That is
Yeah.
concerning. Yeah, I thought Nuge wasn't there for that.
every
That's
every
why I was
penalty
like,
kill is gonna have a one-off, right? Like,
Yeah,
just
but-
because they had this bad game doesn't mean it's bad. It's preseason.
Four power
It's a
play
time
goals.
to learn.
4
Yeah.
power play goals in a game.
It's a
and
time to learn. Like,
Right, but
what
4
better way to learn than through failure?
This is the second year with Woodcroft and 4 power play goals against in one game in preseason, which is when the other team isn't exactly at full strength either. With your entire first unit PK on the ice is concerning.
it's a
Oh,
little bit-
hold up there, Mr. Optimist.
I'm a realist. A decade later, I'm a realist. I'm not an optimist
Alright.
anymore.
Ed, I think you want to say something?
Who was in goal for you guys?
Cambot.
Yeah, Cambot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cambot was in
That's
there.
a
Okay.
little disconcerting.
So
Yeah.
apparently he was left out to dry pretty hard.
Yeah.
But
Didn't watch the game either.
yeah, I don't know.
I haven't seen anything yet, so I don't know.
I watched one game in total, so half of one and half of another.
Okay. Last night the Devils' PK was absolutely terrible. They penalties left and right, and I think they let up 3 power play goals. They had back, who I don't think going to team longer, but also Andy. And basically, what it comes down to preseason is the time to experiment, right? They tried schemes thing. So you guys have your number one. Your coach may have been trying different things, different strategies. And I guess the strategy was letting goals.
Yeah, well, you gotta try everything, right? At some point.
Yeah, exactly. But it's preseason, so the emotions range from this team looks like they're going to win the cup to this team is a failure. They're going to get the first overall pick, probably.
Yeah, and that's the other side of it. We can't really put a whole lot of faith in what's going on in the preseason. Arun, you're back now. You were gone for a minute there.
Okay, so it was me.
Yeah, I don't know because Ed kind of shit the bed too, but he's I could hear him fine by the end of it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I know.
I was gonna say so James and Arun, you guys haven't been able to watch any preseason yet, have you?
Not a single
Um,
minute.
I did watch some preseason. Key thing that stood out to me was I saw that the Vancouver Canucks game. I think it was the one we lost in the end. That was on Sportsnet.
Yeah.
And for that one, David's like the clear best player on the ice was Davidson, and that gives me really good positives. And one thing that really stood out for me in that game was it wasn't that okay. So Ed, I would argue for our defense, the biggest problem is not. It still is a problem. Defenders defending poorly, but honestly, our bigger problem is defenders are not contributing at all to the rush. It's not contributing at all to offense. Our second highest goal point producer last season only played 30 games among defensemen.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's our big concern. And that's also one of the reasons why, like, the analytical people within the Oilers fans, I guess, are a little concerned with the trade. Is that we're getting a guy that hasn't really played the power play within the NHL. That's not to say that he can't learn. I think one of the Adam Larsson's best features is the fact that he takes in everything well and he grows and he grows. Like the player that he was when he started playing versus what he is now is dramatically different. Um, but the offense needs to be there. And one thing that was very good for me with that game was that Davidson was there for offense. Like he would jump in on the rush at the right times. He wouldn't go off on a pinch at the wrong times. He'd still be extremely reliable in his own zone. Honestly, the only player that I think in that game played better than him was Ben Hutton, and Ben Hutton had a hell of a game.
He did. So, but I mean, so phrasing that into a question, I guess, Ed, do you think Larsson has the potential to be an offensive stud on defense along with being the defensive guy he already is?
At least offensively more reliable.
Yeah.
Okay. I do. The whole entire thing is, Larsson has a very good, he has good vision for breakout passes. Obviously, there's been some examples. I think during the World Championships over the summer, he had an absolutely terrible pass up the middle that led to a turnover and a goal. But Adam has a lot of good offensive upsides. Now, they didn't really get utilized in New Jersey, part because he was playing top-line minutes with Andy Green, and then he was playing the whole entire PK. He had to rest at some point, and for him, that was during power plays. So he didn't really get a chance to get utilized there. And plus, Devils have John Moore, who's a very good offensive defenseman, and they had David Schlemko, who was very good at it. So there wasn't really a need for Larsson to be on the power play. I think he can provide offense. He will provide offense for you guys. He's going to be very good with the breakout passes. He's going to be passing now to Connor McDavid instead of Steve Bernier or Jordan Tutu. So the talent he's passing to now is a lot better. No offense to Jordan Tutu or Steve Bernier, but they're not Connor McDavid. And I think his offensive skills are going to be a little bit more utilized in Edmonton. The big thing and the big strides for him, you mentioned how he is when he first started to how he is now. That whole entire shift didn't come until actually Pete DeBoer was fired as coach. One thing us Devils fans kind of struggled with was Pete DeBoer would always seem to bench Larsson when he made a mistake, and his confidence wasn't there. When Pete DeBoer, when Pete DeBoer got let go, Scott Stevens came in and said, "Make mistakes, go out there, play. We're not benching you." And that's when Larsson seemed to be making the turning point in his career. I think with NHL defensemen, it takes around 200 NHL games before they can really start getting stuff.
Yeah.
And it just so happened it coincided that coaching change.
Unless their name is Aaron Ekblad.
Well,
it's Aaron Ekblad or
Aaron Ekblad
instantly ready.
Like, come on. So I guess on the note of training camp, which I do want to express I'm a little annoyed because I think it was last year where all the games were on Sportsnet because of McDavid bias, but this year, I don't know, like the streams for the Oilers games have been as bad or worse than ours, which is saying something.
Garbage.
They're so bad.
So like I honestly
100p.
couldn't tell the puck was half the time. I'm playing hockey for 15
Oilers TV is notorious for having really bad streams,
But I
and
don't
that was just
understand
the
that.
penultimate
Like
example.
they're a professional organization; they can hire whoever the hell they want. Like the Cats owns a media group.
Yeah, it's true, but like you still need resources in order to run it, and when you're not using those resources consistently, and like 82 games out of the year, the resources are being run through a contractor, then you don't have to worry about it, right?
I don't know. I think you should be able to run it effectively for 5 games.
Or 96 games this next season, am I right, guys?
96-0.
96
We're realistic on this one.
Yeah, no, we are too. Schneider's going to go on a. So it's going to
Schneider, I think honestly,
be
Schneider's
Oilers and the
one of best
Devils
goaltenders.
net in
It'll
the
be a
finals.
ultimate fate: Larsson and Talbot versus Hall and fucking
Jesus
Schneider.
Christ. That's all.
Schneider's. I love Schneider.
What the whole entire story will be Taylor Hall versus Larsson. Oh yeah, no,
Exactly.
yeah, I'm very happy. Schneider's been great. Obviously, the World Cup of Hockey, he wasn't starting, even though he should.
Yeah, that's another
Could've been,
mistake.
but-
Well,
Okay,
we'll
discussion.
talk about that one too because that one bugged me too.
I'm gonna piss off
okay,
Chiefs
so
fans.
I was gonna
so
say,
so far, sorry. I'm just gonna move things along a little
Yeah.
bit. I think we've gotten a general gist of what Larsson can bring. All that's really left is just to see it on the ice and see how that develops and moves forward. So Ed, I guess I will let you ask questions for a quick little bit in terms of what do you think your expectations for Hall might be, and what we might be able to provide in terms of that.
I mean, so something actually, Karki, I texted him this morning. He wanted me to ask you guys. There seems to be a very small minority of Oilers fans that after this trade, they got on like a Hall hate train.
Oh, they were always on the holiday train.
So we've seen a lot of positives to his game. What are some negatives that we can expect from
honestly,
him?
I think James should answer this one to start because he's been pretty quiet so far.
Yeah, James.
Some positives about Hull or negatives?
Yeah, negatives.
He lets his temper get the better of him
Positive.
sometimes.
I mean, I've seen the positives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Hall
Okay.
is super, super, super emotional. He does let his emotions get the better of him sometimes. He's mostly gotten better at keeping his head up. Like, he still will get absolutely crushed sometimes, but I mean, that's just part of the NHL game. It's unavoidable, really. The biggest thing for me is that he gets too frustrated too easily, too emotional, but most people see that as a positive. I don't see it, or sorry, most people see that as a negative. I don't necessarily see that as a negative because that's how I am personally with things that I'm doing. So most people see it as a negative. I don't, but I can definitely see how that's a big no-no for a lot of people.
Okay.
I was gonna say I think that one of the downsides you get with Hall is that he gets so into it sometimes that he'll try to do it himself. If he's having a really bad game, he'll push the issue. And it's something we see with Yakupov too, where it's like, okay, you're a very good player. Slow your game down, use your teammates, and you'll get there. And I think it's been changing as he got older, and certainly last year it changed a lot in the fact that he wouldn't push the issue as much. He'd trust his other teammates and then get himself in position to do an effective job. And I think part of it too had to be the injury issues, and that goes along the same line where as he's gotten older, rather than going 140 miles into the corner and then getting crushed from behind or smashing into the boards and breaking his leg or doing something of the sort, or getting stepped on in practice by accident apparently.
Yeah,
But
it's some of the
it's just one of those things
Yeah.
where it seems like he's matured enough to learn where to be reserved and where not
Yeah.
to be.
Okay.
The emotional thing is certainly something I'd comment. You will hear if the mics on Prudential Center are any good, you'll hear one fuck a game from Hall, one, and it'll be really goddamn loud. The entire stream will hear it, but
Okay.
so it's always yeah. But I'd say it's again that's not necessarily a negative either, but it is very much that
I mean, if he's winning with the Devils, I don't think you'll hear it. But
yeah no and well
Yeah.
of course there's defensive liability too.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the other
Actually,
thing,
I'm gonna comment on that one. See, I always take defensive liabilities with a grain of salt, and my key thing that I always want to look at is, let me look at other statistics over eye test, because with eye test, with eye test, what I remember is, there's a rush coming back. Taylor Hall is the first forward back after rushing. D got caught up the ice. He tried to stop the play, and this is a guy that primarily plays a winger forward position that still hustled back and is the first guy back. And he won't know 100% how to handle it in terms of, you lift the stick and you take away, rather than taking away the pass, and he accidentally put it in his own net.
Right. Oh, that game.
Hall haters will look at that and go, that's Hall's defensive ability. What Hall does best for defense is that he just does offense. It's the easiest way to describe it.
Yeah.
Like you may see like once a game where Hall is stuck in his own zone. And when I say once, I'm still talking about a forward that's playing maybe 20, 22 minutes a game. Other than that, he's always constantly in the rush. He's always creating opportunities, and the way that he plays will remind you a little bit of Pavelski.
Yeah.
Not Pavelski. Who's the guy that loved you and then left you?
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Parisi. Yeah, that guy.
That's not who you're going with on that one.
He's like sort of like a
Oh.
Parisi light, yeah. 'Cause
Okay. It's
I
funny
thought
because they're both wearing 9 now.
Were you not making a Kovalchuk joke there?
no, I was not making Kovalchuk joke because Kovalchuk can actually
Who's that?
defend too.
Who's that?
I have no idea.
Some
He's
bum
some
in the cage,
Australian
I
guy.
don't know.
Who's
decided to
that?
play the
Yeah.
Oh, is he that Russian? Is he that Russian? He's really good. He plays for the Scott St. Petersburg, right?
Something like that,
Yeah.
Yeah, he would actually look really good, I think, in a Devils uniform. Probably give him like 17. I think that would be. Yeah, he would look really good in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
a
it's
lot of
all-
money for a good period of time, something like that. Something that he won't
Yeah.
drop and leave.
Yeah,
Okay,
110
so
million easily. Sorry.
yeah. So coming back really quickly after our little tangent there. Yeah, it should remind you a lot of Parisi. Now, not as much of the physical side, but he can definitely play the boards really well. And that's the one thing that I really like about Hall's game, is that Hall's game in his first season is not like Hall's game this season. In his first season, he was very much about the rush. He was very much about producing offense. Now, like, I would consider him he is actually statistically one of the best 5-on-5 forwards in the league.
Yeah.
Now, people will point to his power play as not being good, and I would agree. His power play ability is not that great. But 5-on-5, it's hard to find a better forward.
Okay.
His ability to cycle, his ability to just keep the puck in the offensive zone is what makes him a strong player.
Something I always found
Yeah.
a little weird about Hall, though. Sorry, Ed. 1 second. Is that
Yeah, go ahead.
if you look at his play, nothing about his game stands out better than one aspect. Like, so for example, his skating's very good, but his shot's also pretty good. And his puck handling is also very good. He's also very strong in the puck. It's not like if you look at Shea Weber, and he's a very good defenseman, but his slap shot is better than anything else in his game. With McDavid, he's goddamn incredible, but his skating is probably the best. I'd say he's the fastest guy in the league. It's Tyler Hall doesn't have one characteristic that stands out more than others, but as a player, he's more complete than almost any other forward, or offensive
Or
forward in
winger.
the league, or winger. Yeah. So like
Yeah.
you could say that Kopitar is a more well-rounded defenseman, but Taylor Hall produces more pure offense.
Yep.
So it's that kind of thing where it's kind of nice that you can go in and you know exactly what you're getting from Hall every night.
And on top of that, too, there's a misconception around the league that Taylor Hall is a goal scorer sniper. He's not. He's a playmaker.
Yes.
He's absolutely a playmaker, and that's why you're gonna love him for the Devils, because you've got a few guys that are just 30 goal scorers, and then a huge drop off after that. Now they might turn
Very
into 40
much.
goal scorers.
Chiefs. I mean, that's the thing. The thing that really also excited me when they got Hall was he got reunited with Adam
Yeah.
Henrique. I don't know how much you guys know about that. Yeah, playing in the Windsor Spitfires where they won 2 Memorial Cups. I mean,
Yeah.
watching them play together in juniors, they were absolutely killer. And you're starting to see that chemistry come back between them. And last night, actually, Taylor Hall had 2 power play points. I believe he had a power play assist to Bo Bennett, which great. There was the playmaking ability. He absolutely he found Bennett right in the high slot, and Bennett buried it. And then that was 5-on-5. He then had a power play where he shot it, and then no, never mind. Sorry, I messed up. Hall was on the power play. He was actually pretty effective. Like you were saying, he was making good plays, passing to Zaka. Zaka, they were looking great. His shot he had on the power play for the goal it wasn't a slap shot. It wasn't like top shelf snipe. It was just a really quick wrist shot that went far side. And it's just like Devils have not had a player like that. And to put him and Henrique back together, I feel like they're going to absolutely kill it. I think Henrique can get back to 30 goals, and I think Hall could reach 30 goals too, playing with Henrique. So it's interesting.
Yep. All right then.
I was gonna say to summarize then, is it arguable then? Because we've been talking about all this stuff about Hall, but we haven't really. It's kind of weird that we don't exactly know what Larsson's gonna bring yet.
Yeah.
Is it maybe arguable that right now the Oilers got robbed, but it could become more equal as time goes on, where we see how Larsson becomes, or is it always going to be kind of a trade that the Devils won, and the Oilers just happen to get a good defenseman out of it? No, God. Yeah, okay. Of course it would die on me, right? Why wouldn't it?
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Sorry about that. I guess I dropped off on you.
Nope.
No,
It was on my side.
It was Adam.
So
We all dropped.
alright. Wait for everyone to get back.
All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. This is back from our short commercial break. And, let's move on topics then. And so I think we have
one more thing.
generally.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, sure.
One more thing.
One more thing about this trade with Larsson. I feel like it's going to be more even in about 5 years' time, probably max. In about 2 years, this trade's going to be more even, and you're going to see what Larsson can bring for you. I think you're going to see it more this year. You're going to see he's going to be your number 2 guy. I think he's going to contribute a little bit more on offense because he does have a very good shot. He's got a great breakout pass. So I think you guys are going to really enjoy watching Larsson play. You're going to watch the Swedish polar bear having some fun. So,
And actually,
it.
one thing that I did want to add to that too is that generally for Oilers fans too, you really look forward to that. Hopefully, chemistry developing between Clefbaum and Larsson, because Clefbaum's the defenseman that was able to prove that he could be at least a number 2 defenseman in the league, while paired with Justin Schultz. That is the ability that Clefbaum has, and it's gonna be things are looking up this season, but they can only look up really.
Yeah. So I think it's worth. By the way, I just looked at the stream and it kind of started when Arun was talking. So I think it's worth mentioning that Ed had said that Larsson is going to be a better player than we think he will be this season. It's basically he's going to do everything well. He's going to shoot better. He's going to pass better. He's going to escape. He'll be a complete defenseman for us.
All right, so we want to get finished up within the hour. So hopefully we're done with topics and discussion on this point.
Yeah, no, I think we can move on to either training camp or World Cup of Hockey.
Let's move on to World Cup of Hockey. Any questions? Yeah. Okay, so congratulations, you're winner of the World Cup of Hockey is Canada. Daniel.
What a surprise!
Okay, so Canada. This team that you see on the ice right here, do you consider it to be the most dominant national team to ever have played the game?
No.
That's tall order.
Well, what team would be better?
Maybe. I mean, you have to always consider for how the game's evolved and changed over the years. Like the players now, I don't know if they'll succeed in like the no rules barred hitting era of the 1970s.
But
right?
even the Red Machine
76 Canada Cup team was pretty dominant.
Except they didn't put Gretzky in a shootout at one point, so you know.
Oh, 76.
I know, but I was saying later on, like it's one of those things where it's like, what about the Red Machine?
Yeah,
the Red Army. Sorry, the Red Army.
Yeah, and it's hard to gauge them at all, just because they played internationally so very infrequently, and we had so little opportunities to see how they played.
I think the Sochi team was better. I think the Sochi team had trouble scoring goals for God knows what reason. But on paper, like that team was just stupid good. There was that win against the United States in the semifinal, 1-0, was like the most dominant 1-0 game I've ever seen. It was only 1-0, but I never felt like we were going to lose that game. And when Russia went up on Canada in the semifinal of this year's World Cup, I was like, I was a little nervous. And with the Sochi team, I was not ever nervous.
Yeah. Okay. So, does the American want to chime in on this? I'm
Personally,
assuming.
I think the best international team was a ragtag group of college kids from Lake Placid in 1980s, but that's
Get
just
the
me.
fuck out of here. Miracle on Ice.
Is that you guys ended the conversation closing your
We're just
laptops?
done. Nope, invalidated.
I have nothing to say. Honestly, I thought the U.S. team, not in Sochi, but the one that went to the
Sorry.
gold, was it the gold medal game in Sochi, or it was the previous winters, right?
2010.
It was
When
in
Ryan
Vancouver.
Miller was in that, and
Yeah.
yeah, Vancouver. I thought that honestly might have been the best U.S. team in a while. That's when Miller, I think, was
Yeah,
in goal, or was it
Miller
Quick?
got
Was that
Daniel.
Quick's first year?
Oh, it was
No.
Miller.
It was Miller and net.
Yeah.
And the thing that stood out for everyone was like
He was
Miller
Yeah.
regular season was not having a good
horrible.
season, and then suddenly he came into this tournament. And it's like, where the hell did he come from?
He got a standing ovation after the gold medal game.
Miller still gets.
He was so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, he was really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I guess on that point, then we can move on really quickly to
Does he still get standing ovations in Vancouver?
No.
No.
Right? He still gets standing ovations in Vancouver.
No one on the Canucks gets standing ovations because Canucks fans
So
fans.
there is the obvious concern then from an American perspective for where USA hockey is headed and the direction that they took for this tournament. Honestly, their fate almost felt inevitable the moment the team was put together. But do you think that they simply played poorly with the players that they brought in, or do you think that there's bigger issues here? And perhaps it's concerning with the new generation of American players coming in.
If Ed, you want to go first on this one, that's fine with
Yeah.
me. Or I can go first, or I'll go first.
Yeah, James, you start.
I mean,
Okay.
I'd be
Okay.
curious to hear a Canadian's perspective on this.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. We can do
No,
that.
okay, yeah, I feel like the Americans undersold themselves in this tournament. I feel like they are better than the team that they brought. And then looking at Team North America, I think pretty soon the Americans could be the dominant force in hockey, which pains me to say that, but just the way that their development systems have gone, you see drafts in the last decade, they're sprinkled with more American players coming in. I feel like there's a good chance that they could be better than Canada, in the next 5 years even, because what you got now is you have Peak, Getzlaff, Perry, Bergeron, and to a lesser extent Crosby. Like, they're at their peak. You give it another 5 years, and they're going to be declining. And I don't feel like, this is just my opinion, but I don't feel like players like Tavares and Stamkos are quite there. So I don't know. I feel like the Americans could be better than us sooner than later.
Yeah, I think the scary thing is you watch the North American team, and who are the players that really, really stood out in that team?
Goudreau was so good. Matthews was unreal.
Matthews. Yeah. So it's like, so maybe
Riley's Canadian, right?
maybe who is
Riley.
Riley is American, I believe.
No, he's Canadian. Morgan Riley,
Yeah.
he's Canadian.
I
I promise
Ekblad.
you he's Canadian. Don't look it up. I promise you he's Canadian.
And Ekblad is Canadian
Ekblad
too,
Canadian. So there's
as well, right?
like
Yeah,
it's an
he is,
interesting
yeah.
mix. Yeah, yes, okay. So there's an interesting mix between the up and coming guys. Yeah, shut up. You were right. I get it. Thank you. The up and coming guys. It doesn't happen often. I'm gonna acknowledge it when it happens. Okay. God. The up and coming guys like Riley and Ekblad and McDavid. It'll be interesting to see if they are good enough to continue this 14-0 legacy run that the Canadians have. Because the other thing is the goalies. Like, we have Gibson is American, is he not?
Yeah.
Schneider is going to be an American goaltender for the next 5-6 years. For Canada, I'd argue maybe I don't know. Martin Jones is the American. No, Martin Jones is Canadian. So Martin Jones will be.
Right? Price has lots of years left on him.
Price has a few. Price is about 28, 29. So he'll play for another
Yeah.
5, 6 years.
Jones is Canadian.
I think so.
Are you sure?
Yeah, he's
Martin Jones is
Martin-
Canadian.
I don't know. Jones just sounds like the most American name ever, but that's just me.
He's Canadian.
Oh, well,
played for the Calgary
that's
Hit.
today I learned. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it'll be
Well, there you
it'll
go.
be fun to watch. I don't think it'll be fun to watch. It'll be terrifying to watch the Americans get better in the next little bit because I really don't like it when the Americans win because I have American friends and it means that I get shit on, like when they lost in Vancouver. And then when they won the finals, I wasn't allowed to say anything because Canada was supposed to win. So
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that the worst?
yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like in basketball, if Canada were ever to beat the U.S., the Americans would get shit on for years because we beat them once in basketball. Like it's like just the expectations, right? I don't know.
Okay, so my turn to chime in on this topic. Um, it is concerning in terms of, after you're done with this tournament and you flop out the way that you do and you lose games that you shouldn't lose and you win games that you should win that you win.
Don't win games.
And then, like, the one thing you say to the media is that, this is a gay team designed to defeat Canada. That's our main purpose in this tournament. And then you go and face Canada in a game that actually matters, and you get utterly demolished, in my opinion. So it is concerning that after that they're not even. It's not that they're going back on their word or anything like that, but they're not even appreciating that the mistakes may have been from player choice as opposed to the way that the players played. Like when you have a really good winger in Phil Kessel that just came off of winning the Stanley Cup and being arguably who should have been the one to win the Conn Smythe Trophy, it's hard. I don't know. There's like so many different things involved in here, and there's so many different examples. Like it's not even something that's recent. For example, Turris. They didn't bring Kyle Turris because, quote unquote, he didn't know how to spell intensity.
Bobby Ryan.
Oh, Bobby Ryan, right? Bobby Ryan.
Kyle Turris is Canadian.
Kyle Turris is Canadian. Oh God.
So, but I mean, would you not see that kind of statement as PR wrap up? Because if you think about it, they're never going to say, "Oh yeah, we fucked up. We should have brought Bobby Ryan. We should have brought Phil Kessel." It's going to be okay. We brought a team we didn't play very well because we didn't play very well. I don't think they're ever going to come out and say.
I think
yeah,
they
we
should
fucked up,
come out and
guys,
say
sorry. But
sometimes the best thing you can do when an entire fan base is going burn it down is say okay, we made small mistakes and then take it from there.
But it's I mean, if you want to look back at the OBC did a shit job managing the Oilers, but they never went out and said, yeah, we kind of fucked up here. They never went, oh yeah, we probably shouldn't have screwed with Petrie's contract, or maybe we should have drafted Murray over Yakupov. Like they've never information has come out and said that they think that they should have drafted Murray, and then Cates and Co stepped in, but they've never outwardly said it. So isn't that just like a PR playover?
No, I don't think so.
Who knows, man? I don't know.
The PR is so complex nowadays, where there are circumstances where you can admit mistakes. And this would have been one of those circumstances, in my opinion. The only reason that it's concerning for me is I definitely see an American team here that can, into the future, that can play on the level of what Team Canada is playing right now. Really talented, defensively capable, have players that can break the game open, have a deep roster, still talented roster. And it's just concerning is that there's so much potential here, and if the mentality stays the same, I'm not sure.
Is it maybe that they had to put I'll ask this to James and Ed because I think Arun and I have been talking quite a bit, but then we'll go back to us after. But do you guys think that maybe the Americans had to build a team this way because they didn't have the skill to compete in the same way that the Canadians did?
Ed, yes and no.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ed.
Yes and
You
no.
go.
Yes and no. I feel like they had to, in order to sometimes combat good skill players like the Canadians have. You got to have kind of like those good forecheckers. You know, if you can't beat them on offense, try to forecheck them and wear them down. I think the problem is they focus too much on that. I think it comes from Dean Lombardi making his decisions about who he wanted to bring. I don't understand why a player like Abelkader is on that team. He just seems to be a let me just stir the pot and not really do much else. I think it also comes with bringing Tortorello in as a coach. I think Tortorello's style is dated. It's 12 years old, what he's trying to coach. And he hasn't been in the international system at all. He just comes in and says, all right, we're going to do my style. This is how it works. I kind of know some of you guys, but whatever. You need a guy like Johnson, Pittsburgh's coach. I believe he's been in the system for a while. You need a player like John Hines, the Devils coach in there. Like, they got good systems. They've been in the international system, and they understand it. And then the big thing is, too, and I'm going to be biased. I don't care. I'm going to be biased. Jonathan Quick should have never been the starter for this team.
No, he shouldn't have.
He has been riding off his 2 Stanley Cup wins, and he played good in the Olympic in Sochi. And I understood when he was named the starter of the first preseason game. Completely understand why. Yeah, he's got international experience, but when you look at his numbers last year in the NHL versus Bishop and Schneider, he's a distant third compared to them. Mm-hmm. I honestly think maybe Bishop should have been the starter, and maybe Schneider. Jonathan Quick should have never been, because the other thing too, and this is where I started to piss off Kings fans, he plays too aggressive. He's a very aggressive goalie. He does not focus on his technicals. He will challenge you more, and then he's going to make a cross-ice diving save that's going to look really great on his highlight reel, but then he's going to get beat with that move. And I feel like NHL players now have really figured out his game and how to beat him. You just got to get him moving, because he plays too aggressive. He doesn't focus on his technicalities. I mean, you saw those goals against Canada. Was it Canada? Yeah, in Canada. Like, he could have stopped some of those goals, but they moved him. They got him moving, and I think that's honestly Quick's biggest weakness, and it should have been Bishop or Schneider in that net.
Yeah, I agree.
That's not just a problem for Team USA, though. I would argue that's a problem for Team Canada, much the same. Like, I would argue that a better defenseman than Brent Seabrook
or
and
Bouwmeester
was PK Subban, and he never got the call. I would argue that a better winger in the league was Taylor Hall, and that he plays a North American style, plays the Canadian style that they're looking for: short shifts, keep the puck in the opponent's zone, create constant chances, play against the boards. Still didn't get the call. It's just something that I think exists within every organization, but the American one really got exposed this time.
James, what do you think?
No, we'll go on to the next.
Well, going back to the coaching thing, I agree with what Ed was saying. John Tortellini's coaching it doesn't really work with international teams. I can see it working with NHL teams because it's a lot more tough love. The best on best international tournaments, Tortellini comes in with his tough love approach, and he's got a team of superstars. You can't nail a team of superstars into play. So I kind of feel like it's almost like the inmates have to run the prison with these sorts of things. Like, there's only so much coaching you can do. I feel like Babcock kind of has the same sort of thing going on. Like, I don't know how much coaching Babcock actually does, because the players are also goddamn good. Yeah. So I feel like Johnson would have been a much better choice. Like Ed was saying, the Pittsburgh coach, he's a real players coach. I think Paul Maurice would have been a great choice, but I believe he was an assistant for Team Europe. Basically, anyone but Tortellini would have been good. That's kind of how I feel.
So just quickly moving things.
You almost killed the room with that Tortellini bit.
Yeah, you almost killed me with Tortellini. Immediately thought of pasta.
I mean, that's
So
what tortellini is. So
I don't know my pasta, man. I'm an Indian man, all right?
you're an
Okay,
Indian man
so
in Canada.
summarizing question for the World Cup of Hockey. Do you think that this could be a replacement for the Olympics? How
No,
much did you end up watching, and did you find it more or less enjoyable than the first hockey
All right,
season?
so I'll put.
I.
Yeah, James, go.
Yeah, go ahead,
That,
James.
that, that, it's not a replacement for the Olympics. That's the short answer. I still watched every single Canada game from start to finish, but it wasn't dramatic. And in the second game, in the second game of the final, I was actually rooting for Team Europe to win,
Yeah,
um,
same.
which is pretty fucked up.
Hey, shout out
I
to Korea though.
was almost bored. I was almost bored with the tournament. You know, it was like, yeah, I really want Canada to win, but if they don't win, it's not the end of the world. You know, as long as it's not the Russians or the Americans, whatever.
Hmm.
Ed?
Um, and
Oh,
what was the
sorry.
other part of that question?
No, that's pretty much it.
That's
That
it.
encompasses it. Like, is this?
It's not a
It's not a replacement. Okay. Ed?
No.
No.
No,
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
a
a
pretty good
replacement, and the tournament was over when US beat Canada in that first preliminary game.
Woo! Preliminary is the only thing that matters. Woo!
No,
yeah.
honestly, it was over. It was over. It was over for me when Team North America got eliminated because I would have loved to have watched that team go up against Canada. I think if any team was going to beat Canada, it could have been North America. Maybe it would have been a good, fun game to watch. I think, and I'm upset that the world was denied that because Russia apparently had to have country pride.
Damn the Russians and the Red Machine.
Yeah. Russians.
Yeah.
Yet
Um,
again.
I don't know. For me, I'm gonna fully acknowledge the fact that before the tournament started, I said it was a joke and I didn't want to watch it. I'm not gonna watch it. The U23 and the North America the Europe team was a joke.
You're
I
a
ended up
joke.
watching. Well, yeah, no shit. I ended up watching more of it than I thought I would. I watched every North America game. I watched I think just about every Canada game except for two. But I found that as soon as, like I said, as soon as North America got eliminated, I just didn't care anymore. It was like, for me, and it was the same thing that James mentioned with Team Canada. It's like if they lost, it's like whatever. Like I don't really care. To me, it felt like I was watching the World Championships or the
Yeah.
Spengler Cup,
Yeah.
where it's like Canada
Yeah.
could win and it'd be kind of nice, and I'll maybe watch a game or two, but I don't really give enough of a shit about it. Where I'm gonna sit down, record every game, watch it, pour the details, like make
That's
it
what
so that I'm
it's-
involved. It was basically, oh, it's on. It happens to be on, and it's then, and you know, Man U's not playing or the Steelers aren't playing. I'm gonna watch the fucking Team Canada win, I guess. Like it was. And in the last game, honestly, Team Canada didn't deserve to win. They forgot how to play hockey until the last 5 minutes, where they're like, "Oh yeah, we're actually Team Canada. I guess we should probably
Oh,
win."
well, shit.
So they scored 2 goals
Yeah.
in like 3 minutes, and they won. It's like, okay, well that was.
So if I
as a-
could ask
Yeah,
you guys, how two things really quickly. How did you feel about Adidas making the jerseys with the stripes, and how did you feel about the little SAP ad?
The what ad?
SAP on the shoulder
SAP.
patch.
Oh,
I feel like that's starting to answer my question that you didn't even notice.
I didn't even notice it.
Yeah,
I didn't
but
even notice
You know,
the, jer-
no.
the
Yeah,
jerseys in
James.
general. I was commenting on this to a couple of friends of mine. I thought the jerseys all looked like practice jerseys. I thought that they looked
Yeah.
incomplete or cheap. I don't know. I just wasn't impressed with the jerseys. That's my concise answer. I thought that they looked like practice jerseys.
Yeah, it definitely looked more like someone's mock-up online and not even like good mock-ups. Like someone put time into it, and it doesn't look terrible, but it definitely doesn't look like it should be on a national level kind of jersey. I didn't even notice the Adidas stripe, I'll be honest, but the SAP thing bugged me every time I saw it. I'm just like, I don't know why the hell it's there. The nice little touch I did like, I know, on the players' helmets was for the U23. They had the team on the back of their helmet. I kind of like seeing McDavid skate around with, you know, he's wearing the full Canada gear. and he's
The
still
Team
Oilers
Europe had
logo.
it too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think all the teams had it.
Although in Team Europe, didn't they have
Yeah. all the
their national flag on one of their shoulders and then the SAP on the other? I'm pretty sure because I remember seeing Leon Draisaitl with the German flag on his shoulder.
Yeah, I
mean,
remember
Yes.
that. Yeah.
So I
All
did
the
kind of
teams.
like that, but
I think so. Yeah.
the SAP thing for me is concerning because ads are a slippery slope, in the sense that the NHL's a business, but we saw the NHL move hell and high water to get this tournament underway, and then we watch a viewing party, and it's like the campaign things where they park the bus behind and make the crowd look gigantic because it's a camera angle, and then you see the reverse angle, it's like 12 people around a TV. It's just. It wasn't a gigantic success. There were games that no one gave a shit about, which was pretty much every game that wasn't Team North America or Team Canada.
Yeah.
And the tournament, and then Team Canada ended up winning, which was basically the worst result possible for the.
Oh,
for
the worst result
NHL.
possible was Team Europe, Team Canada finals.
Well, exactly.
That was the worst result possible.
Like,
Yeah.
well, it could have been maybe it could worse maybe would have been Europe versus like Finland, but
No, even then, Finland's like the other country in the world where hockey is their number one sport.
no, that's actually Latvia.
Oh, Latvia?
Yep.
No,
Yep.
Finland.
Yep.
Finland too.
It's Latvia. No, Finland is handball.
Look,
I can promise you that because I know a lot of stupid, weird facts about sports.
Okay.
Hockey's
I don't
number
believe you.
hockey's
but
number
I
2 or
don't.
3, but it's after handball and handball and soccer.
Oh.
Rally driving is also big in Finland.
No, Sweden soccer.
Sweden,
Soccer.
Finland, I'm pretty sure is big on soccer, but I think it's handball in Finland, and hockey's like 2 or 3. Like hockey's popular, but hockey's number 1 sport in Canada and Latvia. That's it.
I was just curious. Like, I agree with what you said. Jerseys look like they were practice jerseys. I like some little touches. I thought North America's jerseys with that gray, whatever supporting thing. I thought that looked pretty cool, and I really liked with Sweden's logo, the detailing on that. That looked really good. There's like some good parts. Like Adidas is kind of heading on the right track. I think they're better than the Nike jerseys. I'll give them that.
I don't
Okay,
know. I
so-
feel like the 2010 one for the Olympics and even like the Sochi ones for Nike for Team Canada at least were pretty nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay,
just
one
a little
quick fact
thing.
check.
We'll let Ed.
Ed,
talk
yeah,
real
sure.
quick.
Oh no, I was just saying. I just wanted to say real quick question. So I know we got one more topic to hit. So
Yeah. Okay, so one quick fact check really quickly here to shut down Adam. The most popular sport in terms of television viewers and media coverage in Finland is ice hockey and Formula One. In terms of spectator attendance, it is ice hockey. Okay, so next topic is training camp.
What the fuck is handball? Which one is that?
Training camp is going on right now for both teams, both the Devils as well as the Oilers. For the first bit here, let's talk about the Devils. So, you've had a few games now. You've won 2, you've lost 2. What's your general opinions about the team? Do you think offensively we're going forward well, or is it defensively there's going to be problems? Is there any indications of things?
okay, so really quickly, I'll just do quick bullet points. Pavel Zacha is NHL ready. Bo Bennett can be a legit first line right winger. Taylor Hall and Adam Henrique are going to be a blast to watch. Johanna V2 stole someone's roster spot, and he's probably going to be the quarterback on the power play. And the Devils right now for backup goalie between Kincaid, Wedgwood, or Lindback, and I think it's going to be Wedgwood. 5 points.
Okay, solid.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Who did Black?
Going on to the Oilers,
Who drafted Blackwood? Was it the Devils?
That was us.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He was assigned to
yeah,
Albany.
those Devils, yeah.
Yeah, the Devils. When Schneider leaves this team, the starting goaltenders could be Wedgwood and Blackwood. So it's going to be a lot of wood in the between the pipes
And the Halls.
halls. So sorry, that's my dirty joke of the day.
That was a good one. I like that one.
Okay, so our Oilers training camp started off well with the sweep of the Lames, but we lost two straight against Vancouver and then against Winnipeg. So, what are your guys' thoughts, concerns?
Um,
I
I haven't,
guess.
like I said, I haven't watched a single second of preseason action yet, so I don't really know if I'm concerned about the play on the ice. A thought that I've had though is whether or not Yakupov makes this team.
Yeah.
Um, he's a right wing. He's not good enough to shift over to the left, so he's a right wing. And on right wing, we've got Eberle. Versteeg is going to make the team 100%.
Yep.
Yakupov in theory, and then Kassian. And on
And
right
Lucic.
wing, there's also
Oh, no, not
Puljujärvi.
Puljujärvi.
So there's also Puljujärvi, and you're also looking at Kajula. So that's like 6 right wings for 4 spots. Eberle's going to make the team, obviously. Versteeg, Kassian, those are 3 of them. So you got Yakupov,
Kassian.
Puljujärvi, and Kajula. Kassian will be the 4th line right wing.
I
Uh,
hope not.
he will
But
be.
he didn't play well when I saw him.
better than
I don't know. Like, does Yakupov make the team?
It's-
Like the way that Kajula's been playing, man, people are fapping over him hard.
Yeah, he played
Puljujärvi,
really well.
like, what do you do with Puljujärvi? I don't know, man. Is there a spot on this team for Yakupov?
That's kind of the weird thing is that this must be the first time in a long time where you have a first overall pick that doesn't have a guaranteed roster spot, that is actually going to have to play his ass off in training camp to get a spot. And I'm kind of worried that, because the only game he played, he was with Letestu. And I'm like, if he gets stuck with the 4th line guys again, he's not going to be anywhere near the ice. He's going to be in the press box at the start of the season, and he's going to be gone by the end of the month. Kajula's been amazing. And I know there's the Oilers fanboy, I believe, on the subreddit that is saying that he's going to make the team. I'm actually starting to doubt whether or not he won't make the team. He's been he's been so good and so productive that he might actually get a spot to start. But I'm wondering if he gets a spot, plays his 9 games, and goes down. Maybe what they'll do with Puljujärvi as well, because it does seem the kind of situation where Kara played really well last year at the start of the season. Played like 13 games. It was also because Eberle was injured and then went down. So, do you guys think? I know you guys haven't watched Kajula play, so I guess I should probably say it, but there's the possibility that Draisaitl starts in second right wing, Yakupov starts in the press box. Because if he's not really built for the 4th line, Kassian's already there. If the 3rd right wing is Kajula or Puljujärvi, even then Kajula's playing 3C, Yakupov all of a sudden is getting squeezed out. He doesn't have a spot anymore.
Well, where do you put Versteeg then? Because you can't have Draisaitl at
second.
second.
So I guess
I would be honest with you. I would definitely have Puljujärvi. He hasn't had a great camp. I would have him start off in the minors. Production value. Woo!
oh my fucking fuck.
Okay, sorry. Getting back to it, then I'm gonna come up with a lot of white noise, so then they can get back on track. Which is...
Okay, Arun, you talk. Adam, get Ed back in, I guess.
Yep.
Okay. So Ed is chatting with us. Okay, so coming back really quickly in terms of the Yakupov.
You were talking about Puljujärvi starts in the AHL and then
Yeah, Puljujärvi starts in the AHL. Definitely Drake can make a case for himself, that he should start as a regular, but I want to see a little bit more in the AHL first before we bring him up and make him consistent. Honestly, it's what is the perfect thing to have, just because, we've never really had that depth before, and now when we have so many of these, we're just like, what do we do? Our hands are so full. What do I do with all these right wingers? And then what ends up happening is that we get fixated on one guy. We go, we got to bring him up. We put him in. Things don't work. Chemistry doesn't click because it's not the same people that we're playing against in the regular season. On that point, then honestly, the right wingers, I just have it as. First liner, obviously Eberle. Second liner,
Fuck, who's the 6 again? I keep forgetting the 6.
Eberle, Versteeg, Yakupov,
Kajula and Puljujärvi.
Jula, and
Yeah.
Pugliarvi. You could have Yakupov on the second line, Versteeg on the second line. It's interchangeable. And then for the fourth line, you can have Cassian. And then from there, if Cassian plays poorly, send him down, bring up Drake.
What
And if
about
Drake plays
Pacarina?
better than Versteeg, put him on the third line. Send Versteeg down to the fourth line. From
What-
there, like honestly, I
Pacarina's
think
just
it's good to have a starting point. Oh, Pakarinen! I knew it! Okay, I would have Pakarinen over Cassian on the fourth line. And then Cassian is a 13th forward.
I would have Pacarina as 13th forward.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? His Corsi numbers are ridiculously good for a fourth liner.
Yeah,
And
and
Cassian is just garbage.
because Pacarina can also play the left side.
Ah.
So he's more versatile in that sense. And now Hendricks has proven himself to be worthy of starting. So I think you start Cassian and then, if need be, sub in Pacarina because he can play really anywhere. But
Yeah,
Puljujärvi,
Cassian's starting, but
Puljujärvi, I think, starts in the AHL. That's pretty much a given right now. He really hasn't played well enough to earn a roster spot yet, and the Oilers are going to take their time with him. Now with Kajula, it's a weird mix of where maybe I think they'd keep him for the 9 games, see how he is for the 9 games, and then maybe send him down after that. Because I don't see the Oilers going, well, Drake's played well for 9 games, buy Yakupov. Like it doesn't make sense to trade a player simply because you have another guy who's played well for 9 games.
yeah, 9 games is too small. Yeah.
So I think
small sample size. I mean, if you're going off of that, then Yakupov, he's had definitely 9 good games in his lifetime.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's one of those things where we think it looks really goddamn distinctive right now that Yakupov's gone, but it'll be. I think it'll be a thing where he'll be playing second or third wing starting the season, and then from there, if Drake goes and dominates the AHL and he's having a really goddamn good season, and Yakupov is having another terrible one, we get a trade deadline and Yakupov is probably gone,
Yeah,
Not
I
even
can see
trade
that.
deadline. Yeah.
or even before then. Yeah, just you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah. And
Honestly, like I don't. The one thing that I do want to point out though is like the one thing that we've had as a problem last season, especially, is that we just had no depth. And then when we finally get a plethora of forwards, then we can't put it. We're just going like, okay, we got to trade people off, but like that's sort of the point of why we got so many forwards. Do you guys have any other comments about how? Okay, so we have a question for Ed. Ed, could you ask if Jersey fans follow Victor Hedman and the way he deployed before Jock Cooper took over as head coach, and if Larsson could see a similar
Hello?
offensive boost
Hey.
for the Oilers?
well, hey there.
Hey there. Sorry
Okay,
about
so we
that.
have a question from a viewer for you.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, Arun just said, so Robert Paulson, who watches all of our videos, he's great. He comes back, he went back and watched some of the stuff, and he wanted a bit more in-depth discussion of Larsson. So he asked, could you ask him if Jersey fans follow Victor Hedman and the way he was deployed before John Cooper took over as head coach, and if Larsson could see a similar offensive boost with the Oilers?
Jeez.
So
I
I
mean,
guess-
Victor Hedman is a...
Before Cooper took over, Hedman was very much a defensive defenseman the same way Larsson is, but since Cooper took over and put him in a more offensive role to expand his repertoire, he has exploded offensively.
I don't know if he can get to Hedman levels, but I think Larsson's offensive abilities can definitely improve. I mean, Victor Hedman he's something special.
Yeah.
And the fact that Tampa Bay got him and Stamkos signed is absolutely insane. But yeah, I think Larsson. Like I said, I think Larsson's offensive skills are going to be more utilized in Edmonton. He's going to have some better players to pass the puck to, mainly Connor McDavid instead of Jordan Tutu. So yeah, I think he could definitely get to a Hedman-esque, maybe not as high as Hedman, but he could definitely get there.
So if you had to put a number
Okay.
on, say, next year, he plays 26 minutes a night with Clefbaum on the power play a lot. What do you think would be a rough estimate of points we could hopefully expect? Like, what would be a good number for him to hit?
I'm looking up his point totals so far, just so I
Last
can.
season he had 26.
I have 18 points for Larsson last year. So his season high, yeah, he played 82 games. He had 3 goals, 15 assists, 18 points. His career high is 24. And I think that might be I'm going to go with a very, very safe bet, and I think he could get 25 to 30 minimally for his first year. I don't know if that's going to be really good for you guys, if you'd want that from him, but I think he could get to 25.
I think we need Larsson, as unfortunate as it's going to be, we need Larsson to hit at least 35. It's going to be one of those things where we need more points to defense, and if he's going to be our number one
30,
guy.
honestly.
Yeah.
Like
I can see him getting to 30.
And we're really because that's one of the biggest things we were missing last season. Clefbaum went out, and then suddenly we couldn't outscore the opponents. Our defense, we kept getting hemmed into our own zone, and Clefbaum was really the straw that broke the camel's back last season for us.
Yeah, there was just no production from the blue line, which drove me insane all year, man. There was just nothing happening from the blue line.
Do you guys remember?
Sekera had more points than Clefbaum. Clefbaum had the second most points among our defenders, and he only played 30 games last season.
No, I think.
Sick.
Do you guys remember how excited we were when Davidson scored 2 goals, 2 games?
Yeah.
And then he got hurt. So.
And then he got hurt. Yeah.
Actually, something worth actually at now Larsson's played a lot of games, but is he generally injury resistant? Like he's pretty good at avoiding injury, or at least putting himself in situations where he would be injured.
I have not seen him. No, I don't think he's been hit with an injury bug where he was out for a really long time. I mean, last year he played 82 games. He was averaging about 22 minutes a night. I'm looking. I have his stats right here. He blocked 148 shots. He threw 163 hits, 22 takeaways, 27 giveaways. Major improvements from his next highest was his rookie season. So he almost doubled all of his production numbers. So he gets into those dirty areas. I think you guys noticed in the first preseason game, Larsson was throwing his body around a lot. He has a physicality to his game. He's not a fighter. There's a fight he went up against a Stars player and he got absolutely demolished in. He's not going to be a fighter, but he's going to stick up for your team. So I think in terms of injuries, he's going to be very good. And with you guys saying 35 points, I can see Larsson reaching that. I think they're not going to be using him how he was used in New Jersey, just strictly shut down. I think they're going to let him start to use those offensive weapons a little bit, and 35 points is definitely not out of the question for him. I think he can reach that.
All right, and last one
so we're gonna quickly wrap up. Sorry, Adam. We've hit our last little time here, so I'm gonna let each person quickly wrap up with their name, their username if they want to provide it, and their personal podcast if they have their own podcast and they can plug it, as well as answering the question. It's just 2 words is necessary. Which team do you see Trouba being traded to, and when do you see the trade happening? Adam.
So I'm Adam. Sweet 44622.
Or James.
Fuck you.
Go.
Oh, okay. I didn't know we were. Okay. Yeah. He stays with the Jets. He has no rights. He stays with the Jets.
Yep. I am James Paul-McCartney. Follow us on Twitter.
Okay.
Like us on YouTube. Like
James?
this video, etc. Tell all your friends. Comment on the Reddit thread.
Subscribe.
Trouba is going to stay with the Jets. He's an RFA. He has no rights. So, yeah, he'll stay there. They'll figure something out.
Ed?
Ed, once again, from Have Another Donut. That's at Had Podcast on Twitter. One more time, that's at Had Podcast, like HAD Podcast. And Trouba is going to the Devils for John Merrill in a 3rd round. That's not actually a legitimate thing. That is a joke we mean. A lot of Devils fans think we can get top pound for town for. But really interesting fact.
Trade?
John Merrill not at practice today, so Merrill watch is on right now.
No,
he stays
over here.
He stays with the Jets.
Okay, I'm gonna go off and say that Trouba gets traded to the Oilers for Nurse and other spare parts. And that doesn't happen until actually trade deadline.
Very interesting.
Okay, and this has been
Goes.
a Runetic 5, otherwise known as Rune. And thank you very much for tuning in our podcast. You can catch the VOD later, and also check us out on SoundCloud. All right, thank you very much, and see ya.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
again
you.
for joining us.
No problem.